Welcome to the regularly scheduled public meeting of September 14th, 2020 of the Township of Washington Township Council. Adequate notice of the meeting was given in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act by the Township Clerk to at least 2 newspapers in January, and this meeting has been posted on the Township Bulletin Board, electronic message board, WCTV, and on the Township website. Salute to the flag.
I pledge allegiance
Allegiance
to the flag
of the United
of the
States of
United
America
States of America,
and
for
to the republic for which it stands, one
one
nation,
nation,
under
under
God,
God, indivisible,
liberty
liberty
and
and
justice
justice
for
for
all.
all. Amen.
Amen.
Sue, roll call. Sue, you're on mute.
I don't know why, because I did not mute myself. Okey dokes. Councilman Casio.
Here.
Councilman Cumming.
Here.
Councilman DeSena.
Here.
Councilwoman Morgan.
Here.
Council President Feeney.
Here. Let the record also reflect in attendance Mayor Calamari, Township Administrator Tovo, Township Attorney Poller, and Township Clerk Wachowski. Before we start, I sent an email earlier this evening to take a poll of the council members to find out who would be comfortable returning to the courtroom next week. I would be comfortable. Does anybody have an objection?
No.
No objection here.
Okay, so we're,
Here.
No objection.
Mayor Calamari and Mr. Tovo, I would like to meet with you next week to work out arrangements for how we can set up the courtroom. So if you can let me know what day, either later this week or early next week.
Okay.
Great, thank you. The only other thing I'd like to say is that I'm sure from the council, today was the first day of the WWRST return to school, so I'm sure we wish all the school children and families a happy first week. Okay, we have the update from the grant writer.
David, are you on?
Yes, I am.
Okay. The floor is yours.
You cut out of me. I'm sorry. What was the question?
I said the floor is yours.
Oh, I was asked to call in that some of the council members had some questions about grants.
I can start. Yes, thank you. It's Desiree Morgan. I can start. I just wanted to know, I have a couple of questions. I don't think I have a good grasp on the grants that we've applied for and if we've been awarded any of them. So some of the areas that I was considering that maybe we should at least look into, and maybe we have, I don't know, you can clarify for me, is the Green Acres money to clean up and replant trees and put some benches up at
I didn't hear what you said after Green Acres because of the echo. What was that?
the Green Acres money, and if there's a grant available to clean up and replant.
Green Acres doesn't give you money to clean up per se. Green Acres will give you one of two things: funding to purchase a property and then make it into a public park, or the other category would be to park improvements, where you would go in and do landscaping, redesign, irrigation, equipment, ADA compliance, stuff like that. They don't really give you a cleanup grant per se. It would be part of the redevelopment and maybe redesign of an existing park facility.
Okay, so semantics. If I change the word with cleanup to landscape and redesign it, if we say that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Funding for that. The next funding round is anticipated. It was anticipated to be in November, but with all the things going on with the state budget, I don't know where it stands at this point. Nobody can give you a clear answer because the governor has, with the proposed budget, several cutbacks with regard not only to Green Acres, but some other programs also.
Mr. Buno, do you know if we're a Green Acres community as we speak?
Every community is a Green Acres community. The question is whether you're eligible for 50% financing or 75% financing. I would guess, from what I know of the municipality, that whatever project you get would be a 50% funding project. The other 50% would be either from your own finances or through a Green Acres loan, which would be 20 years and could be interest-free also.
My question was, I misstated my question. So the answer is, have we ever applied before and been approved for any green acres that makes all our parks and properties?
Not that I'm aware of, and like
Okay,
I said,
so I
I've
guess-
been here about the.
You just enlightened Mrs. Morgan.
I'm about almost 11 months now, but there's been nothing that I'm aware of that you've ever applied for. If you go back and research that,
There hasn't been anything there.
now, after talking with the business administrator to look at funding for some of the other park facilities. And the good thing about Green Acres funding is that you can also use it one or two ways. You can use it as the match for a open space project through Bergen County, which requires a dollar for dollar match, or conversely, if you get a Green Acres grant, you can go to the county open space fund and get some additional money from them as a matching grant, and use one grant to piggyback the other. So none of your matching dollars would come out of pocket.
But I guess my question is if we take Green Acres money, right?
Yes.
From my past experience, once we take Green Acres money, we lose control of having Township first on the fields.
No, that's not correct. You won't lose control. The way you do that is by permitting. I did a $6 million project in Roselle for Green Acres to build a new football field, and they run it through the recreation department. So you basically would put up a schedule, and you would establish priority events for the municipality and municipal partners, and then you are obligated, if somebody from out of town wants to use it, you would have to give them access. But you can do that by setting up schedules and paying fees to use the facility, stuff like that. That's permitted.
So we do have to open it up. We do have to open up all our parks to outside organizations once we got $1 of Green Acres money, correct?
Not true. Only the park that you use the funds for.
Correct.
That is subject to
Right.
any Green Acre.
And can't you also attach a fee to the use? You can, as a reservation, you can attach a fee from that town that's coming in from another area.
Yes, if they want to use the facility, they would have to get a date that's available once the municipality establishes its schedule of events and priorities, but other dates are left.
Right.
They would have to come in, apply, file an application, pay a fee. Can't be, outrageous fee.
Right.
Be something to use the facility.
Because that's how New Milford funded their new turf field, is that they used the Green Acres money and they've opened it up to other towns, and there's a fee attached to it, an application for what the use is for. So the town and the rec committee.
Repeat that question.
No, it's just, I know New Milford used the Green Acres money to create the new turf field, and they have an application and a fee that's attached outside of the times that the school and the town are using the field themselves.
Stacy?
You asking me I still don't understand what you're asking me.
Sorry. No, I'm not. I'm just saying that New Milford used the field, the money for their new turf field in 2017 to offset the cost, and they now have an application and a fee schedule for what you're going to use the field for.
That's exactly what I said.
Right.
If somebody wants to use the field, they can use it, but they have to go through the application process and use the open dates once the municipality establishes its priorities. So they may have Little League, they may have soccer games, things like that. You set that up. So you're giving access, but based upon priorities first established by the municipality, and sometimes I would strongly recommend in cooperation with the Board of Education. Maybe they have events they want to do there. There's nothing wrong or improper with you establishing that schedule up front, and then the other available dates. If people are willing to come from wherever up to Washington Township, and pay the fee, then they can use the facility. You can't deny them.
Mr.
Right.
Buno, what?
That is being.
Can I get a word in, please?
Sure, Mr. Power, go ahead.
All right. So, having been here for quite some time, I am pretty certain that we have taken Green Acres money and that all of our parklands are Green Acres. While you were on the phone, I called Paul Azzolina, who would also remember that, and he confirmed that as well. So I just want
How far back are we talking?
to put that into the equation.
Okay, well, I could tell you this. I mean, you're telling me this now. I can within a day or two, speak to some people with Green Acres and find out exactly what you've applied for and what you've been awarded. The caveat is that everybody's working remotely in Trenton still, so I may leave a message there, maybe I could call back for 2 or 3 days, but I know several of the people there directly.
Well, I think you will.
Exactly how long ago it was and what the funding that you received.
It was a while ago, but if you all will recall, Kennedy Park and the Viviano property going through there with the sewer, that was a Green Acres problem. And from what I remember, we have taken Green Acres money. So I just want to make sure I get that out there in terms of the historical use of that and the characterization of the property.
Okay, so then it would
Well, I said, based upon what I know of the municipality now, you'd be eligible for 50% funding, 50% loan from Green Acres.
But what grants are available to us, Mr. Buno, we could apply, or you have applied for already, that are in Green Acres category?
You said funding didn't start till November.
I applied for the dog park at Sherry Field, and that's something that you could piggyback on the Green Acres application. But when you apply for Green Acres, we can also submit up to 3 applications, but you have to prioritize them as to what's the number 1, number 2, and number 3 priority in the municipality. I would think, based upon what's going to cost for the Sherry Field Dog Park, you may want to look at a larger program as your priority. But that's something that I'd have to discuss with you and the business administrator as to what your priorities are. Because as I said, there's money for acquisition, there's money for development.
Mr. Tovo, maybe you could reach out to the various departments, and then Desiree, since you were very you were very proactive in getting the grant writer come, maybe put something together and see where we want to take a look with that. What do you guys think about that?
I think that would be great, but I do definitely think that this is the space where the green team needs to be part of and come to the table for sure. So as long as green team is at the table, I would love to get that.
Great,
together.
and I'd love to join you on that. And I think Green Acres money would be great. I mean, other towns have gotten millions of dollars. Let's see if we can get in the rat race there.
Well, I've gotten millions of dollars for Garfield, Roselle, Lyndhurst. I mean, you have to be in it to win it. So I would suggest that we look at it very closely. We have some lead time because when that application opens, we'll have about 30 days to get everything in, and you want to look not only just at the dynamics of the plans and the layout and what you're going to do. You want to get letters of community support from various organizations to support the application. That's part of the process. So once we establish, and I'll discuss this directly through Bob, what you want to go after, and then we can start doing our homework now so that when it is announced, we're ready to hit the ground running. We're not fumbling making the decision about what we should do and what we should be filing for. There's also a mandatory resolution that must be accompany the application also, which I can draft once we decide what the project is.
Mr. Buno, do socioeconomic censuses and everything have anything to do with the grants and how much we receive?
Yes, that determines if you were in a different demographic, such as a more urban community, you would get 75% funding as opposed to 50. Other than that, it's based on the merits of your application. That's the only socioeconomic impact, really. Is how much of the funding you will get and how much you have to either go through a loan or some other source of funding. But as I said, I've won this grant in several communities where the finances are not an issue.
Perfect. That sounds like a really good thing.
I do have one more question. Is there anything for I'm thinking about like the DMF eventually and the firehouse. Is there an opportunity for possibly green building grants where, for renewable energy, maybe there's like state incentives that will be given to us if we use the green, renewable energy, solar, anything like that? Have you looked into anything like that for the projects that we're going to be?
I haven't specifically. I mean, there are some possible grants out there right now. It depends whether or not if you're going to go solar. There's things that you could do once the building design. I don't know, is it completed at this point? I'm not sure at what stage you are with the design. And I would like to speak with the architect to see if it's LEED certified. Things like that might be able to get you some additional dollars. But I don't know unless I speak with the architect. I know what the final plans are.
I think we can actually make that connection for you. Mr. Tovo or Mr. Merrick, could you please work with the grant writer on that?
Mr. Buno, just so you know, Mr. Cumming and I were on the building committee team for the firehouse, and our architect explored the avenues of putting green infrastructure in, and it was not cost feasible, or we don't have enough roof space to make it valuable. So he's already done a full assessment of that, correct, Mr. Cumming?
Yes, sir. And what we did do is make all the furnaces and cooling 97% efficient.
Thank you.
And
So we've already looked, Morgan, we've looked at that already.
Solar is not the only option. There's other things that are renewable energy that fall under that category. It's not necessarily just the solar, so.
No, but he did a full, our architect at the firehouse did a full investigation. Making the building LEED is not a firehouse typically isn't a LEED building, a LEED certified building. It would have been too expensive to do that. It adds about 40 to 50% more cost to the building, and therefore it was not feasible.
And then the DMF building, possibly doing something in that space.
We haven't designed that yet, so I don't know what the architect would do there.
Yeah.
Well, I think these are all good avenues to explore, and maybe the grant writer can take a look and see if anything new has come out, even if it's small scale. So
I'm always researching and looking for new avenues of funding, and I just add that to your wish list of what you're looking for. Municipality. Now, listen, I don't laugh about that because once I have a full understanding of what you need in town, but I don't have the crystal ball that says this grant's coming out tomorrow or next week. But when it does come, I'm aware of what you need and we go after it. That's really how you have to look at it. And as I said, with this whole COVID situation, the whole regular grant schedule is a little askew. I'll leave it at that on a federal, state, and county level.
So if Green Acres money isn't released by the state in November, when's the next cycle? Is it the first quarter of?
The applications should be announced in November.
Okay.
I haven't heard that they've been canceled. I haven't heard that they've been postponed or anything. But when I call down there, I'll try to get more of an update and get back to you through Bob Tovo. But as I said, there's nothing right now that I've heard that they're not going to have a funding round.
That's good to hear.
Okay, great. So we can definitely explore it further. You said you'll follow up with me, and we'll make the connection.
Of course.
Okay. Great. Thank you so much. That's all I have.
May I ask one question? David, if I may call you Mr. Buno, is there any money out there for, thank you, is there any money out there for energy management? That's a rather broad category, but we're about to jump into that with both feet.
What do you mean by energy management? What are you defining it as?
Lighting sensors, heating sensors, machinery that controls the building.
Are you talking about energy efficiency grants?
That's exactly what I was talking about.
What's that?
That's what I was saying to Mr. DeSena, that it's not necessarily just solar, it's energy efficiency. That's exactly what Mr. Cummings said.
I'll look into that. Sometimes through the BPU, there's some funding available.
Yeah, there is another round available, which we were contacted. I was contacted of the public service 70-30 grants. So we're exploring that for the left outs, and one of the left outs was the ambulance corps furnace. So I'm going to get that.
Who do you deal with the public service?
I deal with the people who are auditing, and that's Wildan Energy.
You're talking about the people from public service who do the energy audit?
No, not specifically. This is an engineering firm that public service hires for their direct install grants.
Mm-hmm. Well, if I can get some more information about this from you through Bob, I'd like to do, because I have a very good connection at
Just have-
service.
please.
I generally deal with public service from the top down as opposed from the, going up through the chain.
I'm just concerned we might be missing something, and your help is appreciated.
That's a lot of red tape for me. So through Bob, if I can get some more information on this, let me look into it for you.
That's great. Thanks.
So back to the Green Acres. Mr. Tovo, can you get a meeting going with Mr. Sears, myself, Councilwoman Morgan, and the grant writer, and anybody from the Green team, and Mr. Cummings, and we will we'll get going on a plan for that? How does that sound?
Yes, we can do that.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and then also,
Hey, just a reminder, you can't meet with 3 council people.
oh, right, you can't be with 3 council people. Okay, we'll work on that. Okay, so could you take a look? I don't know if you deal with education at all or with the safety aspect that's been going on with COVID, but I did hear from someone, there were some PPE grants going around.
Teaching grants?
Oh, no, the personal protective equipment?
Oh, we've been dealing with several of those grants right now through the county and through FEMA reimbursement grants. Myself and your OEM,
Rio?
yeah.
Okay, good.
We've been going for some reimbursement funding. As a matter of fact, there's also we applied for the first round of reimbursement funding also through the fire department, and we got denied. And now there's a second round, only because we got denied because we ran out of money on the first round. Now there's a second round that actually is supposed to, I believe, come out tomorrow. So we're going to be going for some additional reimbursement funding through FEMA, through the fire department too.
Okay, great. I did see those notifications come out. That's great to hear. Thank you. Does anyone else have anything for Mr. Bono? Thank you so much for your time. It's greatly appreciated.
Anytime. That's what I'm here for, to help you. Bob, I'll give you a call sometime tomorrow just to review what we discussed tonight and set up some scheduling. Okay, David. Thank you, Robert.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Okay, on to PSA for September 14, 2020. Coronavirus for the latest updates, messages on the coronavirus, please visit the township website. Election 2020, vote by mail ballots, prepaid first-class postage shall be mailed to all active registered voters without the need for an application to receive a vote by mail ballot on or before October 5th for the November 3rd general election. For any questions and additional information, please check your elections voting webpage regularly. Voting machines are strictly for voters who are blind, physically disabled, or illiterate. All other voters will be given a provisional ballot. Any voter wanting to use the voting machine must fill out a disability certificate affidavit. The poll worker will then call the Board of Elections to verify the voter has not sent in their vote by mail ballot. Only then can a voter enter the booth to actually vote. 2020 sentence. Currently, the township has an 86.9% response rate. Let us make it 100% by reaching out to your family, neighbors, and colleagues. If you have not responded, census takers will be knocking at your door. Please take a moment to speak with them. They will wear masks, follow local public health guidelines, have a valid photo ID badge, and they may also carry bags and other equipment with the Census Bureau logo. Please visit 2020census.gov to complete your 2020 census today. Mail drop box. A blue drop box has been placed outside of the town hall for all correspondence addressed to the proper department. Taxes, no cash should be placed in the drop box, and all payments must be in a sealed envelope. You can also visit our website to make a payment online. Property owners, if your property is adjacent to a township-owned property and you are interested in purchasing such parcel, please send a letter or email of interest to Mayor Peter Kalmari. Township Library. The library has begun reopening. Curbside pickup will be available Monday, Wednesday, and Friday between the hours of 1 p.m. and 4 p.m. For residents who are homebound, delivery will be available on Tuesdays and Thursdays between the hours of 1 p.m. and 4 p.m. Please visit the website for further information. Town parks. Parks, playgrounds, and restrooms are open for recreational purposes. All facilities will be sanitized on a regular basis, and social distancing and face covering should be utilized at all times. Next paper shredding event, e-recycling event, will be held on Saturday, October 17th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Municipal Complex parking lot. No books, binders, clips, or 3-ring binders. Garage space. We are looking for anyone willing to donate a space large enough to store the backup ambulance ring over the winter months. If you are able to help, please call the ambulance corps directly at 201-664-3784. DPW reminders. Loose leaves must be in barrels or paper bags for curbside pickup. Please visit our website for further information. Mr. Mayor, you said you had an additional PSA this evening?
Yes, I do. Thank you. I'm sorry to report that longtime former administrator Agnes Smith passed away this past Friday. Please keep her and your family, please keep her and her family in your prayers. Her obituary is available online and in today's record. Thank you, Stacy.
You're very welcome. Condolences to the family. Okay, general public comment, limit to 5 minutes. To participate in the general public comment portion of the meeting, please dial in on 201-664-4659. You will be asked to state your name and address for the record, and we ask that only one person speak at a time. Please note that at the end of the general public comment, no more calls will be accepted. Please remember this is public comment, and that each speaker will have 5 minutes, and the council will have a response at the end. Sue, please open the line.
Can we have a motion to open the
Yes,
public?
sorry. Motion to open the public discussion.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Hello?
Yes, good evening.
Hello?
Hello.
Please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Tim. I am 211 Yorktown Court, Washington Township.
Do you have your TV on, sir?
I am. It's on mute.
Are you on your phone? Is it a cell phone?
Okay, I think it stopped now.
Okay, try that, sir.
I'm fine. My TV is on mute and I hear you.
Great, thank you very much for calling in. Would you mind just stating your name and address one more time?
Certainly. Jeffrey Sims, 211 Yorktown Court.
Thank you. What can we do for you this evening?
Well, my concern, as are most of my neighbors in Washington Commons, and I'm sure Mr. Selby, who is also on the line and calling in, will give a great recitation. We're concerned with the overpowering music and screaming coming from the outdoor parties that have been handled by Seasons. I know that my wife has spoken to some police officers who have been nothing but helpful. However, the resolution has never resolved itself. We are unable to watch a television show with our windows closed as a result of the noise that's coming out of there. Please understand, we are very understanding of the fact that Seasons has been out of business for a while, is trying to do the best they can. They've been very good neighbors to us in the past. We have been married there. We have our neighbors who have weddings there. We like Seasons. However, they are allowing these disc jockeys to run the show, and I do not believe it's the disc jockeys who are responsible for this. I believe it's the Seasons staff who should be in a position to tell us that they have now told their people to tone it down. I know there's a noise ordinance. I know the hours of the noise ordinance. I also am an attorney, and I understand what the rights of quiet enjoyment are. And the bottom line is, even though they are complying with the hours, they are not complying with the noise level. It is absolutely ear-shattering, and no one seems to be able to stop it. It has driven our property values down. We have 4 condos in our own cul-de-sac, 4 out of 24, whose property values are plummeting because people who have come to see them, see these units, are concerned that the noise level is going to interfere with their life. We need an answer to what the town council is going to do to enforce the other rights of the other people, other than seasons, loud music, obnoxious disc jockeys at hours from 10 in the morning till 11 at night. And even on this Saturday, there was a wedding or an event that was so loud we couldn't watch a television show or a TV show at 2 in the afternoon, followed by 15 minutes of absolutely screaming horn honking to celebrate whatever the event was. This is untenable. Please tell me how you will help us.
Thank you very much we will take your comments, and when the council will be commenting at the end.
Thank you.
Stacy, were you aware of this?
Yes, actually, the mayor will confirm. I did reach out to him personally to let him know that even myself, where we live, we were hearing the noise from Seasons. And I did receive several emails from residents letting them know that I had spoken to the mayor. And I know that the mayor and Mr. Tovo are currently in discussions with Seasons trying to come to a resolution. Correct, Mr. Mayor?
That's basically correct, but I'd like to comment a little further at the end of the public.
Okay, no problem. So, but yes, this is,
Stacy, is it okay if we comment now so we have it fresh instead of waiting till the end?
No, we're gonna wait till the end. You wanted to know if I knew about it, so I just wanted to let you know. So
Okay.
I know there was someone else on the line.
Yes, hello. Yes, hi. Hello?
Yes, good evening.
Yes, hi. Yeah, so there's actually several of us here. You want us to announce our names? So you
Why
know-
don't you go one at a time?
Okay, sure. So I think someone else started. I can wait. Would someone else?
Okay, no problem. Go ahead. Yes,
Yeah, I'll go. This is Sergio Minervini, and I live on 123 Windsor Circle in Washington Commons as well.
yes, Mr. Minervini. Thank you for calling in.
Thank you. This is my first time calling in, and I have been a resident here for several years, and I really feel terrible for the Selbys and anyone that is living on Yorktown Court. I can actually hear the noise, and I'm all the way in the back. I am the last street in this complex. And I will tell you this, if I was a resident or an owner living on Yorktown Court, I would be livid, and I would want an answer immediately. None of this stopping, waiting, discussion. This is a disturbance of the peace. I feel terrible. I feel horrible what these people, these residents are going through. It is totally unacceptable. It is a disgrace that the township is allowing this to continue, and I would shut them down immediately. This is totally unacceptable. It's a disturbance of the peace. It is noise pollution. I don't care who these people are. I don't care who they are. I don't care how long they've been there. I don't care what is happening with COVID at this point. Not acceptable. There are people that are struggling beyond the ownership of Seasons and whatnot. And they're not pulling the nonsense that they're doing. Not right, not fair, not correct. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, hi there.
Yes.
Yes, hi there.
How are you?
Good. My name is Philip Selby,
Yes, Mr. Selby.
Yorktown Court in the township.
Yes, Mr. Selby, thank you for calling in.
Thank you. I've been a resident for 25 years. Good evening to everybody. Mr. Mayor, council persons, Mr. Tobo, thank you for the opportunity to speak to the group tonight. This is a quality of life conversation. It's a noise disturbance complaint. It can also be categorized as a noise nuisance complaint. The noise disturbance situations in the neighborhood from Seasons Catering is literally out of control. The sound levels and exaggerated bass beats have been permeating my home and my well-being from the first outside event hosted by Seasons this summer, right from the beginning. I may be the person communicating this to you tonight, but please know, as you've heard, there's a large group of longstanding residents that harbor the same complaint. For the record, I have reached out to Susan Witowski, Mayor Calamari, the police department, Mr. Tovo, the town administrator, and Bernadette, the town administrative assistant, for advice and further action. I also know that Stacy Feeney, council president, is aware of the situation. And for the record, I've also met with Mr. Leone, the general manager at Seasons. Historically, whenever there had been a sound issue, the police department would handle these issues with Seasons quickly and efficiently. With all the fine details that Seasons must have dealt with in regard to moving their business outside, the detail regarding the sound levels of the DJs and their recorded music has totally missed its mark. This is a formal sound complaint which I'm bringing to the town council. I bring this to you after many weeks of reaching out for some resolution. The sound endangers our comfort and our peace at home. Hour after hour, I can hear music, even with my doors and my windows closed and my TV on. There's no chance of enjoying the backyard or front yard of our homes on the weekends this summer at all. In fact, I was forced to invite my guests into my home to finish our meal because the sound was intolerable. In regard to health, the bass beat hour after hour has been equivalent to sitting in a dentist's chair while the dentist is drilling. So when the drilling stops for 10 seconds, we can breathe again. I assure you that our blood pressure is up from the low frequency disturbances hour after hour. It's unfortunate that this situation could not be resolved efficiently and easily as it had been in the past. I'm most frustrated by asking for assistance without resolve. In the effort of brevity, I will not take you through my list of phone calls and the details for each of these conversations, except to say that I've been handed an empty solution to this issue week after week. In addition to the noise invasion and disruption of our home lives, as Jeff Sims pointed out, this has now become a real estate value concern. There are several homes currently on the real estate market that have experienced buyers during their walkthrough saying they do not want to be exposed to this noise environment as they walk through the property. And now, as you can see, this has become a property value as well. After all this time, Seasons is worse than ever, week after week, including this past Saturday, where all the neighbors were contacting me while I was out for the day. So, as you can see, I'm here tonight so that the situation will be given the proper attention that our neighborhood residents deserve, and I trust that you will commit to restoring a reasonable level of comfort and sense of peace to our homes. Thank you.
Thank you very much for calling in, Mr. Selby.
Hello?
Yes, hello?
Hello?
Yes.
This is Janet Sopkowitz from 849 Robinwood Road.
Yes,
And
Mrs. Sopkowitz.
how we became a Green Acres field. Many years ago, when Rudy Wenzel was mayor, we had to do a lot of work on Memorial Field, put lights and things. And the only thing that Green Acres would do at that time was lend us money. And we got her a lot, but it was only a 2% interest rate. And the interest rates at that time were much higher, like, 7, 8, 9%, whatever it was. So, but that meant that every field we have is a Green Acre field. And it's only been, I don't know, I could count, maybe 2 or 3 times that we had a group come in from somewhere else and they were willing to pay a fee to use the field. So that's basically how we became Green Acres Field. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mrs. Sobkowitz.
Thank you for
Hi,
calling.
hi, this is Joan Del Greco at Yorktown Court. Good evening.
Yes, Mrs. Greco.
I'm recalling about seasons issue again.
Yes, Mrs. Greco. How can we help you?
Well, I have a problem with seasons. It's not only people before that had spoken saying how gracious they were and they turned down the noise, but quite frankly, when they put that addition on, they put marble and different type of stone that they didn't care about their neighbors then. So there's always been an echoing and beating sound coming out of season that we had to tolerate, because when I called the police, they kind of poo-pooed it, and it kind of had to be put on the back burner, and you kind of threw your hands up and had to just give up on this. But I'm not giving up on this outside situation. None of us should be giving up on this. They've basically ignored our concerns. They've been horrible, horrible neighbors. And they are our neighbors. And they haven't been very neighborly. And it seems like it's confusion when you call the dispatcher and they don't know what's going on. And the two gracious police officers that I had spoken to on Saturday, it seemed like they had no idea what was taking, the conversations and decisions that were taking place 2 weeks ago to rectify this situation. It was like confusion to them. Although as they were talking to me or trying to hear me, the decibel levels were so sky high that we had to be shouting to each other in order to hear. And we were standing in the area which was the former Helen's Bridal building. It was ridiculously loud. There were no summonses issued. And I don't even understand why there was a delay in that. But it seems to be a lot of double talk, confusing, and it's kind of insulting to the intelligence of the tax-paying residents. I've been here 22 years. It's really gone on too long. So I don't want to hear about going forward. I want to hear about stopping this. Thank you.
Thank you for calling in, Mrs. Greco.
Hello? Hi. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hi, Megan Calais, 6 Katharina. I am calling because I'm curious to see, with all of these impending developments that are kind of on the docket, what are we doing to look at all of these kind of holistically and to see if our infrastructure, if our schools can handle the pressure of all these different developments? I mean, just today I was driving my daughter to school and there was an accident off of that 17 exit. What's that going to look like when we have, you know, let's just say 200 extra cars on our roads? What are we doing to kind of look at that and see if our town can handle the pressure?
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Calais. We'll get back to you at the end of the public comment section.
Hello?
Mrs. Calais?
Hello.
Yes, sorry, thank you.
No, you're welcome. Thank you. I just wanted to make sure that was all you had. Thank you. Is there anyone else on the line?
Yes.
Yes. Your name and address, please?
Joe Durso, 12 Viola Terrace.
Yes, Mr. Durso.
A few questions. You answered one of mine. I wanted to know about the virtual council meeting. I asked at the last meeting. You guys all said you were in favor of going back. That's great to hear. Hopefully it's next week or at the next meeting. My next question, with this public portion commenting, the resident talks for 5 minutes, and then you at the end of the meeting, you guys discuss it, or maybe get back to the resident a few weeks later. Is that something that was voted on by the council? Was a vote taken to change the format? And are you going to continue if things go back to normal? So I'd like an answer on that. Not now, obviously, because we're following the rules. I'd also like an update. I asked at the last meeting, no one got back to me by email or whatever. Mr. Tovo, the administrator,
said Boswell was looking into an issue on Viola Terrace that they asked about. We're scheduled for paving, but there was an issue with drainage, and Boswell needed to check into it. I'd like to know if Boswell looked into it, and I'd like to know if we're still on the paving program for 2020.
Mr. Durso, the first part of that was you were talking about Boswell and paving, and then you said Boswell and draining. Are you saying the drainage issue is causing the paving to be slowed down? Just you were just a little fuzzy. That's all.
Okay, we were scheduled for paving right when the blackout happened a few weeks back, and it stopped. And then there was they dug our whole road up, and they fixed the drainage, and then they resealed it. But they said the whole road was going to be paved. And at the last meeting, I asked if Mr. Tobo said that Boswell Engineering needs to look into an issue that came up.
Okay.
Question is, I want to know if Boswell looked into it, and if they did, what's the answer, and are we going to have our road paved this year?
Okay, thanks for the clarification.
Okay,
Just
my
wanted to
next
make sure we had
question, we haven't heard, but the intersection of Pascack and Washington, the redevelopment of that intersection, has there been a current traffic study on it, and will there be one anytime soon? I'd like to know the update on that corner, because it seems to have just stopped. My next question, I have several questions, and I'm watching my clock as I go on here. Next question, is there, Megan Cowley just called in. She asked a similar question about a traffic study on Van Emberg, where all this development will be going in the next year or two at the Viviano property and at Fillmore, where the COA housing is supposed to go in. I want to know if there's been traffic studies ordered by the town to these developers. One of my main things I'm calling tonight, and I know you guys will not respond on social media, and I do understand that, but I did tag many of you on our site. There's a capital improvement list for the New Jersey Turnpike Authority. I'm very concerned, and I made it aware to many people. I know it's a capital improvement. They want to finish exit 168, meaning they say they want to give residents that are coming out of Rockland County an exit on the Garden State Parkway to give relief to Hohokus and Washington Township residents. It's very vague. I hope that one of you elected officials have reached out to find out exactly what they plan on doing. Because if they're planning on putting an exit on Washington Avenue southbound, that's just going to create more of a mess. But it's kind of unclear, and I'm not sure if any one of you have looked into it. Now, my same issue with the New Jersey Turnpike Authority, when I was involved, there was discussions when they constructed the new exit at 168 to have an extender, meaning 168A and 168B, where they would eliminate the left-hand turn, the dangerous left-hand turn, and put another ramp right past 168 where it currently is and call it 168A and 168B, where traffic would be able to exit onto Washington Avenue West. And traffic at 168 will go east. I was involved with these discussions. I know the former mayor is probably listening in. She was involved with these discussions, but obviously everything's changed and things went by the wayside. I would not have a problem with that. That would be great, but I would have a problem with the southbound exit. I really like to know if any of you have
I'm sorry, I have to wait.
have even reached out to the NJTPA to set up a meeting on this and on what I spoke about earlier in another meeting about adding another exit, which is a wish up by the BMW Corporate Center. I just really want to know if anybody reached out. Are you reaching out? And, just hoping that you guys are being proactive and we don't get stuck with the new exit southbound and not being, when we have to react to it. So those are my questions, and I appreciate a response at any given time. Thank you. Hello?
Thank you, Mr. Durso. Anyone else on the line?
Yes.
Yes. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead, state your name and address, please.
Okay, my name is Frank Romano, and I reside at 101 Windsor Circle and also 102 Windsor Circle, and that is also in Washington Commons.
Yes,
My
Mr. Romano.
The Washington Commons Townhouse Association, Condominium Association, and so I'm actually calling on behalf of the association, but also in support of my neighbors on Yorktown Court. And I don't want to belabor the point, so I'm going to say that I'm echoing the comments of my neighbors and the residents who are a part of the Washington Commons Condominium Association, and just asking that the town please do something about this. We're looking for a reasonable solution. We're not looking to shut down seasons. Certainly they have a right to make a living, but it's gone above and beyond what's tolerable, what's healthy, and what's acceptable. So please, if the town could take a more active stance, like I said, striking a more reasonable solution, we'd really appreciate it. So that's all I'm going to say, and thank you.
Thank you for calling in, Mr. Romano. Anyone else on the line?
Yes, hello?
Oh, two of us.
Go ahead.
No, you can go. It's okay.
That's all right. I have some people queued up behind me who probably want to speak on the same topic.
Oh, okay, great. Okay, my name's Jessica. I live at 187 Road. I just moved into town a few months ago. And I'm calling because we had a pedestrian walkway, which allowed us access to the supermarket and all the shops. And recently there was a fence put up. And I know myself and a lot of our neighbors are a little disappointed because we use that walkway to support all the local businesses. And I just had a baby, my neighbor just had a baby, and now we can no longer use our strollers to get to that area and to access that area. And I'm concerned that with the fence up, and it looks like they might be putting another fence up, that the only way for me to reach the supermarket and reach the shops is going to be to now walk onto the main busy intersection, which I'm really trying to avoid. So
But you said, I'm sorry, just to clarify one point, you said that they're putting another fence up?
it looks like there's an entrance by the library, and I've been told that they're not sure what's going to happen over there, but they might possibly block that too.
Okay.
But you know, it's just, I guess, confusing to me. It seems like a really safe way for pedestrians, you know, to access that area. And, you know, since it's been closed, I just know that, you know, the people that live on this block are disappointed in it. And, you know, we have lake over here. It's just a very active area on this side. And, you know, it was part of the reason we bought this house, was for easy access to all the shops. So, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Thank you very much for calling in.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else on the line?
Yes, hello?
Hi, yes. Could you state your name and address, please?
Yes, this is Diane Ferrara at 743 Amherst Drive.
Yes, Mrs. Ferrara, how are you?
Okay, I'm calling in about an application that has come to the attention of many people in the township, and they were very, very concerned about it. It's the application for development at 450 Pascack Road, which is the narrow strip of land between Ridgewood Boulevard East and Memorial Field. Just want to make sure I guess you all know what I'm talking about, what I'm referring to?
Yes.
Okay, well, it came to our attention as we were preparing a community-wide pushback on it, because there's great concern about how it would impact our only open space and our children and the safety of the area. It came to our attention that the application was withdrawn. In the process of preparing a community outreach, we were speaking with an attorney, and he did give us some advice, legal advice on this matter, and suggested that we share it with the council. And I'd like to do that at this time. Are you aware that the application was withdrawn?
I was aware. I don't know if anyone else on the council was aware. You can go ahead, though, and give us your information. That's
All right,
perfectly
so the attorney explained that, given the withdrawal of the application, that this is a window of opportunity for the council to act proactively to protect our township and the residents. It's no secret that the master plan provides for the preservation of open space, and it's also no secret that Memorial Field is our only open space. It's at the heart of our community. We have community activities, ballpark activities, so on and so forth. So the attorney has made several recommendations for consideration by the council, and I'd like to share those. One of them he's saying is that given that this was an independent living application, and given all of the complaints we're hearing from people who spoke earlier from Washington Commons about noise pollution, having an independent living complex right on top of Memorial Field is not a realistic potential for independent senior housing. Floodlights, noise, and so on and so forth. So the attorney made a recommendation that the council pass a resolution directing the planning board to look at this piece of land and see what could be done to protect it from development of that kind. Certainly, the overdevelopment that was being considered there was 44 rental units or 40, then 2 additional townhouses and so forth. So given that we have a master plan that calls for the preservation of open space, also calls for the preservation of the aesthetics within the township, these are all points by preserving trees, these are all points in the master plan. The attorney suggested that the council use this opportunity to see if that could be zoned for conservation easement, making the house that's there now a non-conforming use, but grandfathering it. But that would preserve that land and the open space and the trees that are there now for our town. We need an open space. It's the only thing we have. It's where our community gathers. So we're actually begging our council to look at this and see what they can do, given the opportunity we now have with the withdrawal. And anything that would be done to zone that as a conservation easement would actually not be spot zoning, as explained to us by the attorney, because our master plan provides for that. It provides for preserving the open space that we do have. So we'd like to see if it can also be kept available for future development for our own needs, like a ring road around for the school, for parking at the lower ends of the property, if the house is sold to the town, if the town wants to acquire it with an eminent domain at some point. But given the possibility of zoning it for a conservation easement in open space in conformity with our master plan, even eminent domain would not be necessary, as our attorney explained to us. So we also have in the master plan that independent adult living was confined to block 2506, which is already built out. But we have another concern with Bethany. Bethany is zoned for OR and could conceivably see 105 units going in there at some point in the future. So we do not want to keep bringing in overdevelopment here. The attorney agrees that this is something the council could address at this time in a very proactive way. We have a breather, and we're hoping that the council will take full advantage to protect that property for the township and prevent us from seeing it scarred with the removal of 200 trees and putting an apartment complex there that is not suitable right on top of a very active ball field, loudspeakers, and so on and so forth. So I'm speaking on behalf of a good number of residents. I've been a resident of the town for decades, since I was a child. I love the township, and a number of residents from the area and also many parents from the school have asked me to speak tonight, summing up what we have found during our research process, speaking with the attorney, seeing what could be done to protect our open space. And there's a number of other people on the call, but asked me to speak first to bring forward a summation of what we learned from our attorney. So we're wondering, can the council look at making a resolution to ask the planning board to consider making a conservation easement there, preservation of open space, which is our only open space in conjunction with our master plan, and also make a resolution making the observation that it is not suitable for independent senior housing on top of all that activity, and certainly not to the density of the project that was being considered.
Thank you very much for calling in.
We would like to know if the council could get back to us with that possibility, and
Yes.
meet with the council members, and
Yes.
what are our options at this point for follow back, looping back with the council to find out what can be done.
Okay, we'll have to get back to you on that because you are at 5 minutes.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you very much for calling in and giving us that information. Yes, is there anyone else on the line?
Yes.
Yes, good
Hello.
evening.
Yes.
Could you state your name and address for the record, please?
Julianne Lipnick, 184 Finnerty Place.
Yes, Mrs. Lipnick.
Well, first of all, I'd like to bring attention to the barricade that's at the gate area by the shopping center. I had mentioned it to the mayor. When that gate was put up many years ago, that was an emergency entrance to the shopping center. By having that barricade, you're actually creating another hazard. If a fire truck had to get in there, they would have to hit that barricade before breaking through the gate. If you look at the plans in the building department, it is listed as such, emergency entrance exit. Unfortunately, by closing off the other pedestrian walkway, another problem has arisen. Saturday afternoon, I was out in front of my house, and the kids have the right to congregate, and that's more, that's fine. They were sitting in the area of that driveway, on the barricade, on the driveway, but unfortunately, some of the kids took liberty to sit in the street. And a car came around the corner from Woodfield Road, and literally you could see the car just swing out of the way to avoid the kids.
Oh.
So there's a lot going on, and I really do, invite you to sit on my lawn at any time to see what we see. I did have a conversation with Chief Skinner because we also have cars and trucks using that northbound driveway. I'm talking about the one that's right before Finnerty Place. It is an exit, a northbound exit. But what is happening is trucks and cars are using that driveway to enter the shopping center and avoid the traffic light. He said he was going to put a patrol car out there to watch. I realize, and he does too, they can't sit there 24/7. But I want to bring that to your attention because it does happen, and it happens very frequently. And that's about all I have to say. Oh, I have one other question. South on Pascack Road, I think the house number is 101. It's on the westbound side of Pascack. The greenhouse that's also very blighted, it looks like it's vacant and abandoned. Is it such? Is there anything going on there? Is that just an abandoned house like the ones we have by Seasons? That's it. Thank you very much for your time tonight.
Thanks, Mrs. Lipnick, for calling in. Anyone else on the line?
Yes.
Yes, could you please state your name and address?
Anthony Conti, 490 Ridgewood Boulevard North, Washington Township, of course. Just a couple of things. Mr. Dorso originally asked about if there was any traffic done on Washington and Pascack. I was curious to know if there was anything done regarding the exit on the Garden State Parkway and how long ago that was done. Even this morning, I heard there was a pretty good accident there. I'm also curious to know how many people actually make a left-hand turn there, and if they add an exit, as Mr. Dorso was discussing, for the southbound traffic coming out of New York. Is that going to cause a problem up at the light? I mean, that flashing light, they wanted to put a light there years ago. The traffic backs up now from Washington Avenue all the way to Jackson. If you add more traffic coming down there, that traffic is going to now back up to that light. People coming down that hill are not going to be able to stop. It'll become treacherous. The reason why they never put a light there was because of the traffic coming down that hill. Also, a woman called earlier and talked about the property that is running alongside Memorial Field. That might, I understand she's looking for you guys to do something. That might be a good place for the town to take over the property and not only put parking for Memorial Field, because once School Street fills up, there's no parking there anymore. You might want to look at putting some parking there, and it might also be a very good place for that dog park you were talking about, being that you can't do Sherry Field because of the wetland. And the other thing that I'm listening to tonight are a lot of complaints about seasons and the noise. The season and the noise, I do appreciate what everybody at the Commons is saying about the noise. Maybe you can get seasons to lower the volume a little bit, but the guy's just trying to make a living. And right now, I mean, to try to I heard one of the people say shutting down. I mean, it's not shut down businesses in town. It'll only hurt our taxable. I think that's about all I have tonight. But, I mean, I hear the doghouse. I got the swim club behind me. I hear the swim club with the cars in and out. I mean, it's just, part of it. Again, so let's try to be kind to the residents of Washington Township, of course, but also let's be kind to the business owners as well. That's all I have.
Can we ask whoever's hitting that button to please stop it? It's rude. It's very rude, and somebody's trying to talk. So if it's an error, if it's a mistake, be careful. If it's not, it's rude, and it happens more than it should.
Yes, please stop hitting the buttons on your phone while someone else is speaking. Everybody is entitled to their 5 minutes, and it's disrespectful, and it's disrespectful to the meeting, to the town, to everybody who is participating this evening. Please stop.
So basically, nobody heard what I said?
No, Mr. Conti, we heard you. I have your notes here. Yes, I have your notes here.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Sorry about
I didn't hear it from my end because I was talking.
Oh, okay. That's good. Thank you, Mr. Conti.
Thank you.
Yes, is there anyone else on the line?
Yes, hi. My name is Antonio Udina. I live at 876 Ridgewood Boulevard East. I just want to say that I echo the comments of that Ms. Ferraro just made regarding the property at 450 Pascack Road. I just want to basically say that she had some great options that she presented at the end, and also why we should also preserve that property. It's a large property, trees and all, everything. It's great. The rainwater system that is on that property either gets absorbed, runs off the property, or goes into the rainwater system. So regarding that, any major development that's put on that property is going to be a complete shock to the ecosystem on that property and all the surrounding properties. Less water will be absorbed into the ground. More water will be running off, and it's not going to impact just the properties directly adjacent to it. It'll impact pretty much anybody downhill, even properties down by the lake. I also want to state that, there's a current water detention area in that property that accumulates a lot of water when it rains very hard. I live right behind it. So I see after a huge rainstorm, I could see up to about a foot of water being detained in that area. And normally it takes about a week for that water to dissipate and, get absorbed or go downstream or whatever. Huge developments on that property will just make things a lot worse. Not only is it a rainwater issue if that happens, but also, mosquito breeding is atrocious. Like right now, the way it is, there's so many mosquitoes in that area that I get my property sprayed every once in a while. So, huge developments, redirecting water into that detention basin and adding more water volume to that area, it's just going to be a huge health issue with mosquitoes and all that stuff. And that is, I just wanted to add to that, that's why we need to preserve that land. Also, there's many other reasons, and I echo what Ms. Ferrara mentioned. And it's unfortunate all the folks on the call earlier with what they had to say about the Seasons property, but if we allow this overdevelopment to happen in this town or huge developments in high density housing, it's going to happen again. The field is very active. Whoever lives in a development on that property will be on a call similar to this, complaining and seeking help just like everyone else is on this call. So I just wanted to mention that, and I want to thank you for your time. Thanks.
Thank you very much for calling in. Is there anyone else on the line?
Yes, hello?
Yes, good evening.
Hi, it's Jim Walsh, 713 Burke Street.
Yes, Mr. Walsh, what can we do for you?
I just tuned in a little while ago and I was hearing all the comments. My attention is just on the intersection Pascack and Washington. I'm not sure exactly what's currently planned for it. I just want to bring your attention, just like the previous caller. I live in the neighborhood, and one of the issues when there was a CVS application in front of the, I think it was the zoning board, I attended a lot of the meetings. And one issue that came up was the fact that that is a C1 tributary that runs north-south along that property. And per DEP regulations, the property can't be filled that would affect for up to 300 feet, I think the buffer is. So the CVS application kind of ended, and there was no resolution to that one specific issue. But the people on Burke Street, Meissen, our backyards are drained off through that C1 tributary, and I'm not sure how far down it goes, if it goes all the way to Memorial and beyond that. But it's something we're concerned about in this neighborhood, and I'm not sure what's planned for that property, but I would hope that we had conversations with Chris Steele at the time, who was the board engineer. He found a default in the application. Instead of it was 25 acres, it was actually more than 50 acres, which made that classification. 300 feet takes you all the way into the middle of the road. So I'm all in favor of improving that intersection. I think it's the best thing we can do for this town. But I'm just concerned at what happens on that land once the improvements are made. And I just would hope that, that goes on to the Board of Adjustment or whoever's going to look at this ultimately.
Thank you very much for calling in, Mr. Walsh.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else on the line?
Yes. Brian Sinclair, 864 Ridgewood Boulevard East.
Yes, Mr. Sinclair, what can we do for you?
My concern is 450 Pascack Road. Again, I understand the application was pulled, but I'm concerned that if he comes back with Plan B, maybe this is our time to take a breath and really look at things, because I've always had issues with the safety of the school children. And I walked off the playground in the back. It's 30 feet from where that building, the apartment building, was proposed. And if that's, that's something we never had to worry about, we'd have to worry about it now. So that was always one of my biggest concerns. Now, I don't know what Plan B will be, but I think it's a good time for us all to think about how can we not allow that. And that was my thoughts for tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Sinclair.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else on the line this evening? Motion to close public comment section?
So moved.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay, we'll move on to council comments.
Are we going to get to discuss them now, Stacy?
All in favor?
Yes, all in favor?
Aye.
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 We're going to move on to council comment now. I'm going to start
But
with a few items.
Stacy, you said we were going to discuss the comments after they were done.
Mike, I just said we're going to move on to council comment now.
That's what she's doing.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Broke up. Sorry. Thank you. I couldn't hear you.
Okay, I'm going to start this evening. In regards to Seasons and the noise, Hold on one second. Okay, so I personally live in Northgate, which is next door to Seasons, and my family and I have experienced the noise from Seasons, and I feel that normal noise is everyday noise that takes place in a community, like walking or talking. Excessive noise is noise that's usually recurring and not part of normal living, like constant loud music or a dog that won't stop barking. So with that being said, I feel that the community has definitely reached out. The noise has been documented. The neighbors have been discussing this, and they're asking for help. And it's time for the council to work with whoever we need to, the mayor, the administration, and the police department if necessary, to move this in a more positive direction that has a better impact and an immediate impact to the town. With school having started, it's keeping families up at night in the area, it's keeping children who go to bed early at night, who have to be up early for school, it's keeping them up at night, and it is a disruption to the town. Now, having said that, Seasons does have a right to operate and operate outside. However, I do feel that there is a resolution to this problem. And I hope that there's something we can do so everybody has some sort of resolution to themselves. And I think that Washington Commons is definitely impacted the most. And if the base is bouncing off their windows, I completely understand their frustration, and I don't think it's acceptable. In regards to 450 Pascack, I also agree that it should be explored that we acquire it in a way that we can use it in the town, or, you know, make it so the property is being used to its best ability. I agree that an apartment building with seniors living next to a school and a ball field maybe is not the right, you know, there was a better conversation warranted for that property. So I'm also glad that we're going to be moving to a virtual council meeting. And you know, just so everyone's aware about the format, this format allows everyone to have their say. It allows everyone to have their say in their time. It gives them their 5 minutes. We will be getting back to everybody if we don't have the answers for them now, like Mr. Durso on the Boswell draining issue or the paving for his road. Those are completely warranted questions that I'm going to have Mr. Tovo and the administration get back to him on. Also, we will be having, again, every meeting, we will be having the project tracker with intersection updates. And the council is absolutely welcome to ask as many questions as they need to about the improvements to this town on the intersection. Most towns in our area are doing public comment. It allows for, you know, a very professional, very positive meeting without any negative comments or connotations or back and forth, which is not productive, and it doesn't allow for people to have their say. Just two more items. The Mrs. Lipnick, I'm sorry to hear that you saw that with the children, but I believe if you could, you know, by letting us know what's going on, I think that's great for you calling in. Thank you. And then 101 Pascack Road, if Mr. Tovo, if you could get back to her on that, that would be greatly appreciated. Mr. Conti, I apologize for the disrespectful button pushing on the call that you experienced. And that's all I have. Vice President Cummings, do you have any comments?
You know, I think that the Green Acres comments are well taken regarding 450 Pascack. I have a great deal of concerns, and I have some differing viewpoints from some of the people that called in, but it's not necessary to have a back and forth. There's no point to it. It has been canceled. I wonder if all the taxpayers in town would be fair and square for them to pay for buying the property and then turning it into a parking lot, mowing down the trees and putting in macadam. I think we need to have more discussion on these things, and I would appreciate that. As far as Seasons is concerned, I have heard the football from Hillsdale here in Northgate, and I can see the way people feel. over at the Commons, and they have my sympathies. The noise ordinances that I have been familiar with, and I have been very familiar with them in the past, specify more than 70 decibels 50 feet over the property line. If you have to move inside because you can't hear each other talk, it would seem to me it would measure at least that high, if not higher. And I do think there has to be some compromise and resolution so that people can A, have their events, B, make their living, and C, exist in a comfortable environment, which we all want for the township. Thank you very much, ma'am.
You're welcome. Councilman Casio.
Yes, thank you very much, Madam President. Regarding the season property and the noise problem, I was unaware of it until tonight. I live on the other side of town, and no one let me know that was going on. So, again, the council really can't do much, but we can ask the administration to do it because that's their job, is to enforce the laws that the council puts on the book. And apparently that's not happening, or it's not happening. So I'm going to ask the administration to take a firm stance and enforce the ordinances that are on the books. Again, we really can't do much. It's up to the administration. If we want to tweak an ordinance, we can. We can lower the decibels, raise the decibels, and the particular ordinance, but the administration has to enforce it. Regarding Mr. Durso's comment and the Parkway or Turnpike Authority, yes, we have talked with them in the past about having two exits, 1A and 1B. They call it an extension. And if I do recall correctly, there was a difficulty with putting in the exit with a westbound exit there to alleviate that left-hand turn problem. I think we could probably revisit that. I forgot the details, but I know we discussed it. So hopefully the administration can reach out to the Turnpike Authority, and that might be an option. That would be fantastic. With regards to 450 Pascack, in the past we tried to acquire that property with funding from the state, specifically Green Acres funding. At one point, we just couldn't meet on a price point. The purchase price of the property was they were asking was outrageous, and we just couldn't come up with the funds. But we can also revisit that. Making it a parking lot, as Mr. Cummings suggests, I would not really be in favor of that. To me, open space is space that everyone can utilize. We talked about making it a hiking trail, something along that vein, maybe put in some limited parking, because parking at Memorial Field does happen to be a problem. But I'd like to revisit that, and maybe we can come up with some type of solution. I'm not sure if the zoning board or the planning board can go back and rezone that or redefine that. I'd have to ask Mr. Power that question, because I think, we do talk about spot zoning sometimes when an issue comes up, and obviously we don't want to, go venture where we shouldn't go. Let's see what else we have. That's really about it at this point. I think those are the major issues at this point. Oh, the other thing what Mr. Durso said was the traffic study. I don't think we did a traffic study at Van Enberg and Washington, and especially with the two developments coming in. I think we should definitely entertain that. I know Councilman DeSena talked about a specific study where we measure who goes where. I forget the technical name, Mike, if you help me out with that. But I think that would be a good idea. Origin and destination study. That is correct. Thank you. That would be something that we did before at the intersection of Washington and Pascack, and I don't think it would be a bad thing to maybe talk to the engineer about doing that as well at Washington and Van Enberg. And with that, I will conclude my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Casio. Councilman DeSena.
Thank you, Madam President. A few things. I'm a little disheartened because, we didn't know anything about the noise issue at Seasons. We should know these things because, you said you knew about it, Stace. We need to know this stuff. And, I apologize, but we need to know this stuff, and we need to do a better job of communicating everything that you're told so we know. because.
Well, actually, just Councilman DeSena, just so you know, I was told first I was living here and hearing it, and wasn't told till later as a councilwoman. So it was a personal issue. I didn't want to drive or take advantage of my position on the council, just so you know.
But you said you knew about it, so and the same thing with the withdrawal of the application. You weren't certain if the rest of the council knew about it. So
No, I just found out today. There was a post on Facebook about it that I saw. I didn't get notification from anybody special. There was a notification on Facebook that the application was withdrawn as I was scrolling through my feed. So
yeah, but you
I
received that email on Wednesday, Stacy, just like the rest of us did.
I didn't. I'm sorry, I must not miss that, but I saw about the 450. Okay. So you did know about it ahead of time.
I did, yes.
Oh, okay,
So
good.
I
Okay,
immediately
great.
think we should. It's my turn. It's my turn to speak now, We should immediately discuss acquiring 450 Pascack Road and make it a passive park with Mr. Buno from our grant writer, because we did receive a grant. The township did receive a grant at one time to purchase the property. However, the powers that be, the administration at the time, chose not to purchase the property. So we should focus our efforts with Mr. Buno and hopefully get our first grant with him. And it would be to purchase 450 Pascack Road with limited funds coming from the township taxpayers and putting it on a grant. Secondly, I did reach out to the Turnpike Authority. We're playing phone tag, but as Dr. Cassio and Mr. Durso said, it is hopefully it is for a northbound exit B, so the left turn lane would have direct access to go left. We are playing phone tag. I did reach out to the chief engineer at the Turnpike Authority, and we are playing phone tag. And what else do we have? That's all I have for tonight.
Thank you. Councilwoman Morgan.
Yes, I echo everyone's thoughts with revisiting the property on 450 for acquisition by the town. I think that would be something worth revisiting. I think the mayor is going to explain any conversations or discussions that have been taken place with Seasons regarding the noise, so I will wait for that. And with regard to, I'm sorry, I didn't catch her last name, but Jessica and Miss Lipnick, the pedestrian walk. I understand it's an inconvenience, and unfortunately, a child's life could very easily be taken because of this inconvenience. So unfortunately, sometimes you will have to walk 20 feet to the left to go in rather than a straight shot across the berm. And if that's an inconvenience, you can take your car if you need to, like everyone else has to. But it being an inconvenience and it being a safety issue, I'll take an email. I'll take all of the comments you want to make about that all day, every day. When it comes to children being safe, I will take that road every time. So I support and I thank you for putting the fence up. If there's a better solution that you feel that you have that is going to help to keep people safe, because that was a poorly constructed pedestrian walk, I'm all ears. So please, feel free to share that with me, and I will talk to anyone who can help us get that remedied to have another solution. But for now, it does serve a purpose, and that purpose, while it may be inconvenient for some people, I have received a ton of positive feedback from other taxpayers in this town, thanking me because they are watching the meetings and hearing a couple of the concerns that were spoken about, the shopping carts not being able to be brought across the street, which to me, there's no concern for me regarding, that up against the safety of a child. So that being said, also pushing your stroller across would be dangerous as well, because it's a blind spot for motorists. So the fence being there will negate that tragedy. That's all I have to say on that.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, do you have any comments on any of the callers this evening?
Yes, I do. Thank you. On Seasons, I'll let Administrator Tovo talk about that, because he's been in conversations with the police department about what we're going to do forward. So after I'm done, I will ask you give him a minute or two to talk about that. Open space in town. Yeah, there's a lot of areas now where people want open space. As the grant writer said, We'll have to prioritize for Green Acres funding, which ones we want priority 1, 2, and 3. So I look forward to working with the council on setting those priorities so the grant writer has them to apply for. I agree with Councilwoman Morgan's statements about the access to the shopping center. Safety must always come first and foremost. With that being said, I had a meeting a couple of weeks ago with a few members of the police department, and then they had a meeting there with the engineer. Both those meetings were on site, and I believe there are some good long-term solutions being spoken about that will not cost a lot of money and will alleviate 99% of the issue, if not 100%. Just quickly reviewing the notes. Yeah, that's really all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Meyer. Okay, moving, actually, we're going to take a 5-minute break. Can you guys, everybody heard me, right?
Hello? Would you like Mr. Tovo to address before break?
Oh, I'm sorry, say that one more time?
The mayor had asked if Mr. Tovo could address seasons.
Sure, yes, of course, yes. Mr. Tovo, I'm sorry, I missed that
Good
part.
idea.
Good idea. Mr. Tovo, sorry about that.
Last week, this issue with seasons came to my attention. Prior to that, it was strictly within the police department. I spoke to ownership of seasons. They told me they were going to hire a police officer to ensure the noise stayed under control and within reasonable limits. This weekend came and went, and that did not occur. A retired police officer with no police powers was actually hired, so he was unable to stop the events that occurred on Saturday. Speaking with the chief this morning, we found it appropriate to issue 2 summonses to Seasons. One to Seasons and one for the DJ for failing to comply with the request to turn the music down. In addition, there's a meeting between the police department and Seasons tomorrow where they'll be advised that if there's any future further non-compliance, the event will be shut down.
Okay, so 2 summonses has been issued, correct? Just so everyone's clear, and in the future going forward, as of today or yesterday?
Well, as of tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Seasons, they will be shut down, and then and I'm assuming that most police departments, our police department has a decibel counter, so we can check to make sure that they're over the decibel numbers.
We do not, and our ordinance is not written that way. It's one of the recommendations I want to discuss with Mr. Powell, that we can potentially clean that ordinance up.
Okay, and then could we get some sample ordinances to review so that we can make the appropriate changes to the noise ordinance?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I probably will have something that I can help with.
Okay, great.
And I have a decibel meter.
Ooh, could you loan it to the police department?
Sure. As a hi-fi addict, I'd be happy to.
Hey, Ms. Green, you have 2 more updates based on resident comments?
Yes, absolutely.
I just got an email today from Boswell Engineering. They believe they have found a way to remedy the sewer pipe issue on Viola. They expect pricing this week, and work should start fairly shortly on that, and the road will be paved thereafter. In the meantime, American Asphalt will be coming back in to work on the Devon, Woodfield, Stratford, Trinity neighborhood, as PSC&G will be done there on Wednesday.
Okay, so Viola Terrace has been cleared to be paved in the future, correct?
I'm not clear. The pipe work still has to be done.
Okay.
We're going to pave it.
Mr. Tova, when will the remaining work on Robinwood Place and all those roads that are missing catch basin structures be completed?
We have American Asphalt back in town. We had to put a halt on them because of PSC&G.
And speaking of American Asphalt, I believe that you've received some emails from some residents.
I did. They've all been forwarded to the appropriate personnel to remedy those complaints.
Great. Okay. And
lastly, regarding the exit off the Parkway, we are tracking this. Boswell Engineers is tracking it as well. Currently, it's on the radar, but there's no funding for the project as of our last conversation a few months ago.
Okay. Great.
I believe everything else in there already answers.
Great. Thank you so much for the updates. And I think everybody's comments are great and productive. Okay, we're going to take a 5-minute break.
Okay.
Adoption, second reading, none. Introduction, first reading, none. Individual resolutions, none. Okay.
You're not on TV yet.
Yes, I am.
Here we are.
Yeah.
Now you are.
Okay. Resolutions and consent agenda. The following items have been determined to have unanimous consent of council and will be enacted in one motion. Should any item require independent consideration, any council member may have such item removed from the consent agenda. Does anybody want to have any of the below listed items removed?
No.
No. Okay.
No.
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Resolution number 20-272, authorized payment.
Stacy, you're echoing it, Mr. Pollard. Whatever you're saying is coming through Mr. Pollard's mic. I don't know why. Maybe he has the TV on or something.
Maybe. Is that better?
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay. Everybody ready?
Anything on.
Oh, okay. It could just be some feedback.
It wasn't, okay, it just wasn't me.
Okay.
I'm going to see how the Giants are doing.
Okay. Resolution number 20-272, authorized payment of bills, August 27, 2020 to
Still
September.
doing it.
Well, everybody's on mute. All right, I am going to just wait 1 second. Okie dokie, let's try this. Resolution number 20-272, Mike's shaking his head. Authorized payment of bills, August 27, 2020 to September 9th, 2020. Resolution number 20-273. It's so quiet, it's a little scary, I have to tell you, because you're all on mute now. Resolution number 20-273. Authorized annual appointment of municipal representatives to Bergen County Community Development Regional Committee for fiscal year 2020 through 2021, covering period July 1st, 2020 through June 30th, 2021. Resolution number 20-274, authorize the mayor to sign and execute shared services agreement with the County of Bergen for bonfire e-procurement software services. Resolution number 20-275, authorize the tax collector to refund the tax sale certificates in the amount of $52,714.66 plus premium in the amount of $32,100 for block 3302, lot 28, 243 Devon Road for 2016 tax lien to U.S. Bank as custody for action holding, not to exceed $84,814.66. Resolution number 20-276, authorize the tax collector to refund tax payment not added to lien prior to redemption in the amount of $5,523.23 for block 3302, lot 28, 243 Devon Road to U.S. Bank as custody for action holding. Resolution number 20-277, authorize renewal of plenary retail consumption license for Island Way Bakari Grill year 2020 through 2021. Resolution number 20-278, authorize renewal of plenary retail consumption license for Amy LLC, the Doghouse Saloon and Grill, year 2020 to 2021. Resolution number 20-279, authorize renewal of plenary retail consumption license for TJ Inc. Seasons Catering, year 2020 through 2021. Resolution number 20-280, authorize renewal of plenary retail consumption license for CB Restaurants, TA Charlie Brown's, year 2020 to 2021. Resolution number 20-281, authorize renewal of plenary retail distribution license for Township Liquors, year 2020 through 2021. Resolution number 20-282, authorize renewal of club license for Township Columbian Club, year 2020-21. Resolution number 20-283, authorize renewal of club license for Washington Township Recreation Club, year 2020 through 2021. Resolution number 20-284, authorize renewal of amended deferred compensation plan 457B, administered by Lincoln Financial Group. Everybody please take yourself off mute now. Motion to approve consent agenda resolutions. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okey dokey. Adjournment to conference agenda. May I have a motion?
So
So
moved.
moved.
Okay, I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good deal.
Lines of paper. I hope
Current
you
business.
read the 457 agreement from beginning to end.
Yes, it was interesting. Lots of coffee and cookies.
How to lose your mind in 2 hours.
It's like reading the IRS code.
And that's speed reading.
Okay, I know that the project tracker isn't here, Mr. Tovo, but we did have a few residents asking about the intersection. I know that there hasn't been any movement since COVID. Just any update that the county is moving in some direction?
Well, I think we're only fair to cover that topic under closed, because we already have it listed for litigation condemnation.
Okay, perfect, thank you. Council, ordinances and legislations, none. Financials, none. Miscellaneous. Creep trap procedures. This is follow-up with the additional information that was provided. Does anybody, 2 other towns ordinance for review from the health officer. Does anybody have any comments? We have to give some direction to Mr. Poller.
Christine, I do have one comment on that.
Sure, go ahead, Mr. Jobo.
The ordinance provided from Bloomfield is one that our current health officer would be very familiar with, having worked there for almost 30 years. It's pretty clear, straightforward and to the point. So if council has no objection, I would recommend we work with that one.
Was there who maintained the logs on that one? That's what I was looking for.
Yeah, I agree. There needs to be some cleanup so that we can, include matters like that. But I think it's pretty close to what we're looking for.
Okay, I do think we need to add the maintenance of the logs in there, and there was something other from Dumont that I liked. It talked about, if not, the logs weren't signed, warning levels, and then tickets also. Does anybody else have any comments on that or suggestions?
The Bloomfield one, the logs are kept by the person on premise and shall be readily available for inspection by the health officer and his or her designee. That's what it is.
I think copies should also be kept at the office so that we have that nothing's changed. So we have similar records to what they're keeping in the location. Is that an unorthodox approach or?
Well, I think they should be submitted yearly so we have them on record, right? States, because you don't want to have duplicate copies of something that's not complete, right?
Yeah, and if we have a new health officer, they'll be able to review the file also before they go to the location, because being prepared is half the battle. So I think the logs should be kept not only on premises, but I guess it would be, Desiree, would it be our health office? Or would it be like Northwest Oregon? You're on mute.
It'd be Northwest. Northwest.
Yes, Northwest Bergen, but they're right, Northwest Bergen.
Okay, I mean, that's anybody else?
But that's who we use. Is our health. Uh-huh.
Do you think that they would keep the records of who's in our ordinance, right?
They clearly do. This is just tightening up the ordinance.
Okay. Anybody else? Any other direction from Mr. Power? Do we agree with Bloomfield plus adding a few?
That one seems to cover all the bases. I'm fine with it. If we have to amend it, we can. But I think that's a good start. And again, any documentation that an outside vendor does, we're required to keep a record of it anyway. So we're required to keep copies of what Northwest Bergen has.
So would that be the clerk's office? Would that be building? Who would keep those records?
I would think it'd probably be the Department of Health.
Yeah, but the Department of Health is Northwest Bergen.
No, we're Department of Health.
So we have a department.
Our administrative.
Oh, we do. Okay.
Yeah.
I agree, that's where it should be kept, yeah.
Rights. Even though we sub out to them, we are still responsible for record keeping.
So we
All
keep our,
maintenance logs and manifests shall be maintained on the premises and made available upon request at the time of inspection by the health officer, his or her designate. That's number 3 under the submitted ordinances.
right, but we're saying that the copy of the record should be kept somewhere with the town administration so that we have it, you know, on
Is that
file.
really necessary? I mean,
Yeah, we can
There's going to be 3 copies. There's going to be a copy that the vendor has, okay? There's going to be a copy that Northwest has, and we're going to receive a copy. So there should be 3 copies.
whatever. I think that's overdoing it, but all right.
How's it overdoing it? It's making a copy.
Yeah.
And Northwest is not going to get rid of their stuff because they have to hold on to it by law anyway.
No.
If you really needed one, you call them up. I need a copy of, March at whatever vendor it is.
I mean, I think, yeah, I mean, as long as someone else has it besides the establishment, I think we're good.
Stacy?
Exactly.
Yes, you just wait 1 second. We're just not finished discussing. The only thing I didn't see in Bloomfield unless I missed it, did anybody read just to see if there was a requirement for how often it needs to be cleaned out in Bloomfield? Or is it just to be maintained?
It's got to be determined by the amount of grease going through it to be determined.
So then so who schedules the inspection then, or is it just routine every year with Bloomfield?
It's on page 3. For each inspection carried out, there is a charge of $100. For all new construction, there's a charge of.
It just doesn't say, like, how long does it take for that much grease to build? Like, my question is basically this. I didn't say it right. So there's a level of grease when it needs to be cleaned out. But, like,
Correct.
how do you know when that level is obtained?
They know when they flush the sink. I'm just going by how it actually works. They fill up the sinks to the top, and when they don't flush correctly, they know they have a problem with the grease trap. Correct, Mr. Cumming?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I'm being very, very quick. They fill up all 3 sinks and they release one at a time.
Number 4 indicates that at a minimum, the licensed plumber conducts an annual inspection.
Okay.
At a minimum, connecting wastewater lines to ensure that the grease is being removed adequately from the wastewater being discharged into the sewer system, blah, blah, blah.
Perfect.
Okay, I think that's great. Okay, so I have no expertise, so I'd rather ask the question on
That's
grease.
at a minimum or as needed, as Mr. DeSena said.
I think at a minimum, I think is good. I don't know. Does
That's
everybody?
at a minimum, and
Okay.
it could be more.
At a minimum, yeah.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
it says that it can be increased by order of the health officer to more if required based on the inspections.
Sure,
Okay.
you betcha. Right.
Mr. Pollard, does this give you enough to go on?
Yes.
Okay. Does it give you too much to go on?
Yeah, too much.
It'll be fine. I'll draft it. We'll take a look at it. If you want more, we'll do more.
Is the
Okay.
French say next? Suivant. If my French is any good. Anybody good at French?
I think we lost Dr. Casio.
Yeah, anonymous says disconnected. I can't call him because he's not registered with Ninja. He has to call in.
Perhaps he'll realize that he's a non-person. Oh, goodness.
Okay, we'll give him a minute. Okay, so I think we're good on the grease trap. I do like what the former inspector said here. He said, listen, it's best if you have this because he's in agreement that business owners being held accountable for grease trap maintenance. He's seen many unnecessary problems over his many years of service. Okay.
Okay.
Right, so Okay, the next item, Sue, could you give, Steve a call really quick? I don't have his number, I think, in my new phone.
Shall do.
Please.
Oh, I got a phone.
I got it.
You got it?
Yeah, I got it.
Oh, you're the best.
We'll just give him 2 minutes, okay? Is that okay with everybody?
Stace,
Yeah.
I saw that on her email. She kind of mentions when the grease traps are inspected.
Whose email?
Gina.
I thought, yeah, in the beginning of the, I saw that.
It's done every time. It says here, grease traps are inspected during their routine retail food establishment inspections, whatever that chapter 24 retail food establishment inspections.
Okay. Yes, okay. I'm just concerned if it needs to be done more, like Mike said, like they need it again. I mean, no.
Well, routine, and then I guess if a problem, routine, I would think routine is when, I guess you have to find out when the establishment inspections are. I'm going to assume that's annually, maybe, I would think.
I would think the same, yeah.
Yeah, and then if they discover an issue, more frequently.
Yeah.
Right.
Back.
Okay. Okay, I think Steve's back. Okay, so moving on
I'm
to
back.
the email from the fax I think received for delinquent tax notifications for Kennedy Drive, Wearmouth Road, and Winchester Court. What's everybody's opinion on this, since it's really going to be an individual opinion? Councilman Casio, notes from the residents about the tax delinquencies.
Well, it's hard to tell what actually happened. You're getting one side of the story, but I think we're talking about a very, 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 very low amount of interest on here. So in that respect, I'm going to take the letters at face value, and I would probably just approve it at this time. So that's my feeling. Again, we shouldn't have these issues, but the issues are, complicated with people being quarantined, power outages, storms. So in that respect, I have to have some empathy for them.
Okay.
That's my opinion.
Thank you. Council Vice President Cummings.
I've read all three of these, and the reasons vary, and some of them don't hold water, but there are three small amounts and three of our residents. And as Shakespeare and my father said, the quality of mercy is not strained. It falleth as the gentle rain from heaven.
Yes.
So let it go. Let it all go.
Councilman DeSena.
I say let them go, but I would tell the person that used our post office to beware in the future and do not mail your taxes through 07676.
Yeah,
Yes.
we have a Dropbox. They should have known to use that.
Councilwoman
Nobody
Morgan.
should use our post office because it's idiots.
Yes. Councilwoman Morgan.
I agree with Councilman Cassio's sentiment. I think that it's a minimal amount, and I believe I take their letter for what it is.
Yes, I agree with everybody on here. I've also actually recently mailed 2 bills out from Washington Township, and they didn't get anywhere. So I agree. Take the letters at face value. I will be using Hillsdale from now on.
Yes.
I do have an issue with that. I have had issues since I've lived here also with the post office, so maybe that's for another discussion, but I think it's worth discussing again, because I remember Mrs. Lipnick talking about some stuff going missing, and exactly right on that, because the same has happened to me, or delivered to the wrong address continuously. So It's upsetting that
If you've lived in town for,
Ms. Feeney, can I get in there?
sorry,
Yes. Go ahead, Mr. Toba. Oh, I'm sorry, Councilman Cassidy. I'm sorry. There were a couple people talking at once.
No, that's okay. Anyone who's lived in town long enough should know not to go to our post office. I always go to Hillsdale.
But that's such a
So,
shame.
I hate to say it, but that's the truth of the matter. I'm throwing Hillsdale and Kings a little extra business there, but
Right, exactly.
my mail, I never lose anything going to Hillsdale.
I go to the
Nothing
post
against
office.
Westwood, but it's just closer for me.
But that's a shame.
That's a,
It
you know,
is, but it's the
I've got to
truth.
say, I've
It's a
never had
fact
a
of life.
problem. I've never had a problem.
Why do we
You must
need?
not mail a lot of stuff, Mr. Cumming.
I used to mail my home inspection reports priority mail and leave them out in the mailbox, and they got the next day.
It's the
Priority mail is
regular
different than
mail.
Regular mail, unfortunately.
Regular mail, snail mail doesn't get there. Priority's different.
I don't know.
Anything with a stamp. Listen, I agree with Councilman Cassio. I go to Hillsdale and then I go to Kings. So now Kings filed bankruptcy. That'll be sadder.
All right, let's pay these three and move on.
Okay.
Yeah, let's move on.
Sue, could you please email Joy and let her know we're good to go?
Yep, I will let her know.
Thank you. The last item is our wonderful town clerk, Sue Wachowski, is going to talk to us about the volunteer tuition program.
Stacy,
Yeah, good.
Bob had wanted to say a word.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No problem.
I just so the council and the residents are aware, the mayor and I, along with Congressman Gottheimer, had a teleconference with the U.S. Postal Service on Friday. They're promising investigation into the complaints that the recent complaints we brought to their attention, as well as a long history of poor service. So we expect to hear some preliminary results back from them within 2 weeks, and we will keep the council updated.
Thank you. That's actually great to hear. I'm just worried if we lose the post office, do we lose our zip code?
Mr. Tovo, with all due respect, we have, with all due respect, Mr. Tovo, we've had numerous conversations with the Postmaster General, with Congressman Garrett about this issue, and it hasn't gone anywhere. So I wish you the best of luck.
You know, we have to keep trying, Ms. Cassio. I do understand where you're coming from.
Okay, great. Let's move on. Okay, Sue, we're gonna, your volunteer, Sue brought this up. I know she had talked to several of the departments. She's gonna update us on the volunteer tuition credit program.
All right, this is something that is available to any of the members of a volunteer organization who are active and in good standing, their spouses, and their dependent children, meaning the fire department, ambulance corps, first aid rescue squad, whatever you'd like to call them. It entitles them to a $600 per year, not to exceed a maximum of $2,400 over a 4-year service period. There are some guidelines that they need to do, like they've got to be in good standing, in their programs. They must serve, there's a certificate they must sign off on that they will serve for a minimum of 4 years. Every year they are an active member. There's got to be a letter verifying that they are in good standing for the 12-month period prior to. Then a certificate of authorization is issued. And then it will also then be presented to the school, which at that point, the school will then reduce their tuition by the $600. It is a 4-year period for the total number of years. They must maintain a C or a 2.0 or a passing grade to be eligible for it. If they do participate in the fire department and the ambulance corps, it does mean they get $1,200. It's one organization, $600 per year. That's a pretty quick rundown of what it is. There are, like I said, there's some forms that had to be filled out, but it's a good program. Someone had reached out to me in August asking if we did do it. I did some research with Mr. Poller. He did not recall it being done. I mentioned it to Council President Feeney. She thought it was a good idea. And Mr. Tovo reached out to both organizations, the fire department, getting back to him saying it was a go. We have not heard from the ambulance corps as of yet, but after tonight, I will let them know that, if you agree to it, if they want to go forward, we can do it. But we do have to pass a resolution on it in order to have it in place. So looking, I've done it in past towns. It works out well. It doesn't cost us anything. And it's a little bit of a boost for people to get involved, a little incentive.
I agree. I think Yeah, it's a great idea. I think that any kind of money that could go towards tuition is absolutely warranted, especially for our service to this community. So I hope, what does everybody else think? Councilman Casio?
I'm fine with it. They do a lot of work, and they don't get the recognition that they need or monetary compensation. If this can help them out a little bit for the time and the hours and the amount of effort they put in, I'm fine with it. I'd be more than happy to sign off on it.
Okay. Councilman Cummings?
Yeah, this is, did I hear that this is not costing the borough anything at all? The
Not a
township?
dime.
Okay. Let's go for it then. That's wonderful. Anything for more education for more people. That's marvelous.
Absolutely. Councilman DeSena?
No issues. It's a great idea. Thank you, Sue Witkowski, for bringing it to our attention.
Councilwoman Morgan?
No issues. I like it.
And I'd love to hear from the mayor and Mr. Tobo also.
Yep, all in favor.
Good. Okay, so I think, Sue, everybody's on board. Go ahead.
All right, sounds good. I'll have a resolution ready for the next meeting then. Thank you very much for your support.
And when is the next meeting again?
October, what, the 5th? October 5th.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, that is it. Motion to enter into closed session. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
You have to read where we're going into closed session first, Stacy.
Yeah. Okay. Negotiation, resolution number 20-285, negotiations, lease of property, ambulance corps, update on litigation, condemnation, intersection Viviana properties, update commuter parking litigation, negotiation 184 Finnerty Place. Motion to enter into closed session.
So moved.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Ricky, we're not coming back, so
Thank you, Ricky.
thank you, Ricky.